all the KGB here. And for those of you that are not in the know of that joke, that is the Katarina's Garage Bros, right? Just kind of a nickname that I thought up actually with a friend of mine that is a fan of the channel as well. So, it was actually quite a fun conversation we had. Uh, that was probably back in like October or so. But anyways, so I'm doing this video or this live, because I wanted to chat with you all and talk about some things that happened actually yesterday. And what's going on with the cars and whatever else too. There will be a proper video on this stuff as well. And if you haven't watched it yet, go see the Civic video that was just posted this evening. That video actually is doing pretty well. It has almost 200 views and counting in the past, like, about 2.5 hours. So not too bad at all. Definitely one of my better videos as of late, which is awesome. I love that. But I do want to talk about, actually, like, I mean, there's nobody here yet, but for people watching in the future, well, where do I even begin? Maybe I should begin with the Civic. So, what's going on with the Civic? And my last video, we did a bit of work to it, honestly. We, like, me and my buddy Keith, because it's actually at his shop right now, which is freaking awesome. I love it. Okay, I don't want that. Oh, I already know about that. I'm just really quick doing something. I just want to do this, and then I'll more attention to this. There we go. Save. There we go. Okay, so, anyways, the 78 Honda Civic Papa Smurf, right? It was towed up there actually the day I got Lilo back, which is my 86 Mustang convertible LX that now has a 5-liter in her and whatever else. Great car. Love that car, honestly. But, yeah. So, Papa Smurf is having an issue right now of the fuel tank is buggered. It just is. There was a lot of crap in that tank. Even after I cleaned it, there was still even more crap in there that obviously I didn't get out. So that tank will have to be sent out to be cleaned and stuff like that. But oddly enough, I got a guy who reached out to me. It's an owner of a shop and actually has really good reviews and stuff like that on his shop. So we will be sending the tank to him, right? And that'll be fantastic. And we'll be good there. So hopefully that'll all work out and no issues at that point. Because what happened was, and this is actually pretty common with old fuel tanks that have sat in old gas and stuff like that for a long time, is that, excuse me, that the sending units actually will essentially dissolve within the old fuel and basically just become molten at the bottom of the tank. It's actually very, very common, and that's what's happened with this one. As something that's caught in my throat. Sorry, guys. Now my face is all red. Yes, I am. Was only up there for the day. Came back actually last night at 4:00 in the morning, 4:30 to be exact, is when I finally got home. So really long day, to be honest. But yeah, so like anybody that watched that video will know that okay, that fuel tank is pretty much foobarred. Like it should be able to be cleaned and put a new liner in it and stuff like that, and it should be fine. But don't know for sure. We'll figure this out once get it to the shop. And the thing is, like brand new fuel tanks don't exist for this car. They just don't. Everything has been discontinued that way, so we have to send the tank out, which is fine. Sending unit, I haven't looked too hard yet, but I haven't really been able to find one as of yet, so we'll have to do some research on that. There is zero aftermarket for this car. You know that. There is literally nothing aftermarket for these. you have to adapt parts for the most part. And I just need to figure out, basically for a sending unit for it, because we'll have to utilize the stock tank again, get it cleaned out, no big deal. For a sending unit though, I'm thinking a later Honda one for a carbureted vehicle should work. Should, but I don't know for sure. We'll just have to measure heights and stuff like that of sending units and basically go from there. So I just, yeah, that's where I'm at concerning that so far. There's other people that have suggested, well, why don't you just put a fuel cell in it? Well, because I don't want a 5-liter freaking cell in the car. And also, like, putting a fuel cell that's actually a decent size in the car, well, there's not really any room in that car to begin with. Like, for if you want to actually use it as a proper car and not just as some show toy, it doesn't really work out that well, right? So, one of these deals that I'm dealing with currently with that. So, one of those things. But, it's fine. Original fuel tank should be able to be salvaged. It's actually in pretty good shape, although there's a lot of rust in the bottom of that tank. And sediment and whatever else, because, again, that was in the video. For any of you that have watched the full length of that video. And now, that video wasn't my normal type of video, as I'm sure you're aware. A lot of pieced together videos that I edited together, whatever else. But all one take, though. I didn't do multiple takes or anything like that. And that's been kind of my mantra, is do it all one take. And it's been pretty cool. And, we did get it running temporarily, but of course, it's not getting fuel from the fuel tank because, well, that filler tube, or not filler tube, I should say the fuel outlet for the carburetor or inlet, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, and the tank is clogged with all of the original sending unit, just all of that rubber came through, right, and is stuck in there. So, again, it's just one of those things that will have to be addressed, and it'll probably be a few more weeks before much work gets done on that. Because I actually want to contact the owner of that shop a little further and see, okay, is if we, send the tank to him, would I be able to film that process of getting it cleaned and repaired? Because that'd be kind of cool, actually, to do that. And it'd be free advertising for them. It's kind of a win-win, right? So, yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with Papa Smurf at the moment. After that, once we can get it running, then we'll focus on the brakes. Because I want to get it running off its own fuel system first. Then we'll focus on the brakes. And then any other things it needs, which, like, having it up on the hoist, we were able to find a few things wrong with it. Not too bad, to be honest. Just strut bushings and stuff like that are gone. You've got CV boots that are gone, stuff like that, right? But it's all perishable items that most of the stuff you can find that way, so that's nice. Actually, there's a site called Civic Garage where I was able to find CV boots and stuff like that will be ordered in the future, but for now, not. However, we'll get it. Because, like, and the other thing too is that the car's gonna need exhaust, obviously. And there were so many people, and I addressed it in the video, but I'll say it again too, is how many people said Honda Civics didn't come with catalytic converters, my car doesn't have a catalytic converter. Well, I cut out a catalytic converter in that car. Like, it was absolutely, that's exactly what it was. And it's just funny that way. Yeah, see, the thing is, first-gen Civics, hardly any parts exist for them. Second-gen Civics, however, there's a lot of parts for them and a lot more aftermarket, which is weird because the first-gen Civics are the more desirable of the two, and you'd think that, and I've actually seen way more first-gens than I have second-gens, to be honest, out there. And for that regard, you'd think, hey, somebody would pick it up for the aftermarket on this, but they haven't. You see, I would never go to a plastic tank. Plastic tanks to me are not, no. I would much rather get the original tank cleaned out and done that way. Because plastic tanks, they just don't hold up as well as metal tanks do, right? Um, Much more susceptible to damage and people breaking into it whenever else. Even though, yes, this tank does have, hey, there's a drain plug in the back of the tank, but for the gas, however, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And the thing is, to get a tank 3D printed, you're probably looking at $500-600 anyways. Not worth it. No, like realistically, all we need to do, because we haven't done that yet, it is just put some thread tape on it and you're good to go, right? So not the end of the world there. And that'll seal it just fine. And yeah, but it's just one of these things that, with that car, and I'm learning quite a bit actually about it, and one of the reasons why Honda shifters feel so smooth compared to everything else, I learned that too, is most vehicles have, for the shift linkage with their manuals, they're cable driven. Well, on the Honda, it's actually like lever, like rods, right? So that's why they feel so smooth more often as opposed to everything else. And they don't really break because of that, too. It's pretty impressive. Like, you look at in that video, the rod that is connecting the transmission, that rod is about the same thickness as what the motor mounts are. So that's quite impressive. Very beefy that way, and surprising of how robust that little Civic is underneath. And that's why, like, there are people that tell me, well, I used to buy those for like $500 and beat the hell out of them, and they took the beating quite well. And I can see why. It's quite impressive. There's going to be a few other things to fix on the car as well. But overall, I mean, hopefully we can keep our costs under about $500 by the end of it, and we get to go. Oh, hey, JC Motive Garage. I'm doing well. Hope you're having a fantastic evening as well. And, yeah, just talking about, what happened this past weekend and stuff that's going to be happening soon on the channel. Because, unfortunately, like, that Civic video is going to be the last Civic video for a while because traveling up to Edmonton is expensive. And I don't really have a lot of money, unfortunately. So, but the next trip up, we'll see if they'll be able to clean a tank. Maybe do a video on that. And then see about, getting it running again properly. And then getting the brakes functioning and seeing if it'll drive around the block, right? That'll be videos in the future as well. But now we're going to be focusing on actually my 86 Mustang Lilo, right? Because Lilo, she needs a lot of help. And she's currently registered and insured, so she is actually costing me money sitting there, technically. So, yeah. Oh, that is awesome. You're getting really close to that 1,000. Congratulations, man. Yeah, that's truly awesome. I'm at, I actually just surpassed 1440 the other day, so it's been really cool, actually, and seeing my channel grow again, because, for a while it was kind of stagnant, but that kind of happens in the month of, like, January. It's typically a slow month. So, I can get the water pump, brand new without going to eBay, so that's fine. To be honest, I don't use eBay that often, and there's a reason for that, because even the Civic, that fuel pump that I got off of eBay, completely wrong pump. Doesn't fit that car at all. It'll bolt in, technically, but it'll never hit the cam. The actual fork or arm, whatever you want to call it, will not hit the cam to actually go off the pump. And thank you. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I am actually... Because, like, one thing is, for anybody that does YouTube, January is usually a slow month for some reason. Everybody's stuff goes down, and it's bad. No, they definitely don't. Like, to be honest, it kind of looks like a small block Chevy fuel pump. Which I said that when I looked at it the first time, but it's just like, probably not. And like the one from the Civic is so small. It's a very, very small fuel pump on that thing. So just with a really long arm. Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been doing, right? And there's a few other parts that I can find, whatever else, but because yeah, like the other thing is like I would have preferred to do new brake hardware for the rear, but we might just have to actually clean up the original stuff that's in there and reuse it. So we'll see. And we're probably gonna have to repack bearings by hand, so that'll be fun. But not the end of the world. Um, but yeah, so I don't know yet. Really don't know what I'm gonna use for a muffler at all. I'm not going to an OEM muffler because those are way too expensive, and that's just stupid to pay $400 for a muffler. Anybody that pays $400 for any muffler, you're not using your head at all. But to be honest, finding anything that's like 1.5 or 1 3/4 inch muffler is a little difficult to do as well. So, you can't just go to Canadian Tire and go get a muffler like that. You have to search around a little bit. But it's all good. Who knows? Maybe I'll adapt one off a motorcycle or something like that, or something. We'll see. Because yeah, like I don't want it to be super loud, either. But and I don't want it to sound like super super raspy either. We'll see what happens, right? But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with the Civic there. But now, the next video or two is going to be focusing on Lilo, my 86 convertible. I've got some parts for her now, and I'll be getting more soon. I need to get some head gaskets and an intake gasket, which I don't really have money for, but whatever. I'll throw it on the credit card, not a big deal. And because I believe the issue with the car, with the overheating and everything like that, and not getting, because I was just racking my head a little bit, and it finally came to me, and the reason why there is zero coolant flow to the heater core. I'm pretty sure the head gaskets are in backwards, which is fairly common, to be honest. If you're not paying attention to all the where they line up and everything, that can happen. So with that in mind, I am gonna be changing those out, right? And hopefully that should solve all the issues, right? Yeah, it's been good. Civic Garage has some parts, not very many. They have a little more of the obscure stuff. Some of the more obscure stuff, but not much of it. Like I said, I've been looking at them. Again, they don't have a ton. There's not a ton of parts for any of these cars. I've been through every single website that has parts for these cars. I promise you. I've also consulted forums and stuff like that in groups or whatever else for finding parts, and there's not much out there. So, but anyways, Mustang. So yes, I'll have to replace the head gaskets on the Mustang, which won't be that hard, although I've never actually pulled a head off a car before, so this will be a first for me. I know how to do it, just never done it before, right? So yeah, I'll do that. And because of that, I'll have to replace the intake gasket just because you have to pull the intake to pull the head, right? So kind of annoying, but that's fine. And yeah. So do all that, see how it goes. If it works, great. I've also got some gaskets for the headers. I've got new. They're actually not. They're not exhaust studs. They're actually small block Chevy intake studs, but they're the same length and stuff like that, and they work. And they're cheaper than exhaust studs. So it works out, right? And they're ARP. So very good quality studs. Or not studs, but These are bolts. Yeah, so, do that. It'll be great. Put the header on it. No big deal. Shouldn't take that long at all to do that. And then the only other thing is the distributor and the valve covers, which I have valve cover gaskets to put on it too. So they're very nice gaskets, actually. They're the rubber Felpros, which what I'll do actually, and I'll show you this trick as well when I do it, is you can get some like Permatex, it's actually called the right stuff, and just put a little bit on like the corners of your valve cover gasket. And so then when you pull off the valve cover, you don't have to replace the gasket every time. It'll just stick to the valve cover. It's kind of a neat little trick. Yeah, so we'll do that. Put the new valve covers on it with the PCV system and be good to go that way, right? So that should take, I don't know, I might be able to get 2 or 3 videos out of that whole thing, and driving the car and whatnot will be fun too, because I've driven the car a little bit, but I haven't fully driven her because, again, overheating. So yeah, because I already put the new the new water pump in there. Works just great, tickety poo. But yeah, still overheating because, of course, coolant passage is blocked. So, which is annoying. But as well, something else I picked up too is a 1-inch phenolic spacer for the carburetor, and that serves 2 purposes. 1, I'll be able to actually put an air cleaner on the car. Great. 2, it'll actually, or I should say, secondly, what carb spacers do actually, they actually do gain you performance. This has been proven on dynos and everything like that. They will gain you a little bit of performance. Plus, it makes tuning the carbs easier too. So it's just increasing the distance that everything has to travel. I don't know exactly how it works for the science behind it, but it is proven to work. So it's like, cool. So that'll happen, and that'll be good. As well, something I want to talk about too is actually Stitch. Because yesterday, I went up to Roy Marco's place, and I really appreciate his help. To be honest, I would not have been able to pull everything off that he did in the amount of time, especially. That probably would have taken me 2 or 3 days, and we did it within an afternoon. Is Stitch no longer has that Autolite 2150 carburetor on her anymore. Now she has a Motorcraft 2100 from a 66 Fairlane. And this carburetor actually took 3 different carburetors to make work. Because we wanted the electric choke off of mine, so we had to modify the carburetor a little bit. We had to replace some of the internals with some of the internals of other ones, like the needle and seats and stuff like that. Now I have a brass float, which is nice. And yeah, like all these carburetors had slightly different things. Like linkages were a little different. Insides were a little different. The tops were all different from each other. Very weird that way, actually. So, but now I've got this vintage carburetor on the car, and she is able to take Holly jets now, which is amazing. I love that. Holly jets are way cheaper than those freaking Motorcraft jets, because Motorcraft jets, there's only one website that I found with them, and they're like $40 for 2. I just bought 2 for like $14. So yeah, it is really, really cool that way. Car has a lot more pep, and actually it's something now. The tires were wet because it was super icy out, but then I got onto a dry road and decided to try and launch it, and the car does a burnout. It's like the first burnout the car has ever done. Manipulated, of course, because tires were wet, but still, that was awesome. Not gonna lie. So yeah, the thing, a lot more throttle response. Feels like it gained like 20 horsepower, I swear. And yeah, she's finally running really good now. So I'm happy. I have 0 gripes with how that car runs now. Just everything is just perfect. Yeah. So no, I'm very, very happy with how everything has gone. And, in the future, there'll be more stuff done to Stitch, of course. Stitch is kind of on the back burner for anything to be done, because now anything I do is just performance stuff to her for the most part. The only things that I will need to address a little bit on the car is I need to touch up some paint because the paint, I guess, or at least the clear coat didn't really stick properly the last time I did any paint work on the car. So a lot of it's actually starting to go on the rear fenders, and I don't want that area to rust. So I'll have to sand it down, prime it, paint it, clear coat it again. It's been warm enough lately where I should be able to do it. So just find a day where it's like really warm and just go to town on it. It won't take me long at all, maybe half an hour. So not a big deal there. Yeah. Which and I saw your comment about the Hyundai and Kia thing. That makes no sense because that would be a recall. That they wouldn't just say park it outside. That would be recalled if it was that many cars. So yeah, that's a little strange to see that message out there. But I am very excited with all of the cars right now. They're all getting progress done to them, and it's really amazing to have the fleet being worked on. I mean, me working on them, but still worked on, right? And yeah, because like tomorrow actually, I might be visiting with a friend of mine, Cody, here in town. We haven't hung out for a while, so if he wants to, we'll hang out and who knows? Maybe I'll do a video on his other Mustang because I've already done it on his 2020, so maybe I'll do one on his 2001. We'll see, right? Maybe I'll do a review video because we've talked about it. But yeah, it is, and car's very fun to drive, to be honest. Very familiar too, because if anybody has any experience with Fox bodies, SN95, and SN95 Mustangs, they're pretty much the same. Underneath, they're not much different. Just a little stretched, a little bit more modified, a little more stable than the Fox bodies. But other than that, they're the exact same car. Everything is in the same place for buttons and stuff like that. The switches are even relatively the same too. And it's pretty neat, actually, driving that car and realizing how many similarities there are between the two cars. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. But yeah, and something, because I was talking with Roy about some stuff with the car, and when we were working on it and whatever else, and I was talking with him like, I really, as much as the turbo would be cool, I almost want to supercharge it just because that joke picture that we have of that supercharger on top of that intake, just I can't stop thinking about that, and it looks absolutely incredible. And he said that he could probably do it actually, and do it for where it doesn't cost a bunch of money. So that would be awesome, right? Yeah, just you need an M90 on top of there with a carburetor on top. Will look killer. But before I do that, that'd probably be sometime in the summertime, more than likely, to do that. And he said he'd probably need about a couple of weeks with the car, which is fine. I understand. That's not one where I'd come up, we'd pull it off in an afternoon, and then I could drive back. I know that, and that's totally fine. I would end up just going up there and leaving the car with him for a while and until it was done. But also, like, I would probably hang out there a little bit too for a couple of days, get a hotel room or something like that, and help him out with the stuff and do videos. It'd be really, really cool. So yeah, I am definitely excited for hopefully to see that happen, and that'd be another collaboration between me and his channels that way. So, community not competition. It's great. Definitely great. Yeah, so that's something that'll be happening with the car. Um, and like other stuff that I want to do, of course, there's the 5-speed swap, there's the 8-8 swap, all that different stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna retain that inline 6 though. No matter what, everybody's like, there's a lot of people that want me to swap that out, and I'm not going to. I'm gonna keep building that out and be an awesome car when I'm done. But yeah. Oh hey, how's it going? I definitely appreciate you coming out to the live stream. It's like I'm doing really good, and you know, it's having a wonderful evening so far. You know, it's been a great weekend. Um, Today has just been a nice, relaxing day. I was dead tired yesterday because I left here just before 10 a.m. I got back at 4:30 in the morning, so my initial plans were to stay up there, but it just didn't end up happening. Um, up in Edmonton, but it's fine. I just wound up road tripping home again, and yeah, so very, very tiring. And also, like, being on your feet and working on the car for like 6 hours or so. Because we really were, we were taking small breaks and stuff like that, me and Keith there, but yeah. No, temperatures have been freaking fantastic. It's been really warm. Absolutely. Like, even right now, it is 9:30 at night and it's 2 degrees Celsius outside. Like, and over the next week, it's supposed to be like 10, 8 degrees, something like that. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really, really cool, actually, being able to work on that car again and just how neat it's been. It was definitely an adventure yesterday, for sure. And my life is full of adventures like that. It's probably gonna be a few weeks just because, again, it's expensive to do that trip, and I'm broke at this point. Like, should I have done that trip? Probably not, but I did anyways. And that trip ended up costing me a lot more because I bought parts for my cars and stuff like that. Cheaper than I could have bought them here, but still. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like tomorrow's supposed to be 11 degrees. Thursday, 12 degrees. Friday is 2 degrees high, but then Saturday is 8, right? So it's pretty awesome. Oh, that's me. Ugh. Why? I mean, I am, and I'm not going to start a GoFundMe or anything like that. If anybody wanted to donate to the channel and to the cause, whatever else, you can. That's totally up to you. I would definitely appreciate any donations that anybody gives. But yeah, right now, like, the Civic will be a little bit on the back burner, just a tad. The only way how I'd take another trip up there before the end of the month, like before March, is if my dad gave me the money to afford the gas to go up and to afford food while I'm up there too. That would be the only way to do it because I can't afford it at all. So, yeah. Hey, that's awesome. Love to hear it. I mean, yeah, like I've been able to work on the car most of the days and it's been fantastic. Uh, to cost to go there and back. Well, bear in mind, Edmonton from here is about 230, 240-ish kilometers, give or take. So there and back takes me a full tank of gas, which I just filled up my tank last night, and it was $83, and I still had about 4 liters left in the tank when I did that. So, yeah, it's not great. And now gas is cheaper here in town. Like, that gas was a little more expensive that I bought there because it's actually cheaper here in town than it was where I bought it. But unfortunately, I couldn't make it back here on that tank of gas. My car's not quite that fuel efficient. Like, the Civic would make that trip, I'm pretty sure, there and back. And probably still have some gas left over. Not so much on the Mustang. But, especially once I start driving Lilo. Lilo is gonna be sucking the gas back a little more than Stitch, so shouldn't be terrible, but it's still not gonna be great. So yeah, it's just one of those deals. Like, I don't have a car that'll do 50, 60 miles to the gallon. The Civic will do that, or should be somewhere around there, but my Mustangs will never touch those numbers. Like, Stitch, when I'm done, it'd be cool if I got 25 miles per gallon, but yeah, we'll see. Uh, we use okay. Well, at the pumps we do liters. Um, but when I talk miles per gallon, I'm talking imperial miles per gallon because, to be honest, I don't really understand liters per 100 kilometers, and the U.S. mile per gallon system is not what I know more. I know more of the imperial system, so it's a little different, right? But you know, it's one of those deals. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, gas. I mean, I don't know if it'll get that high on gas. Maybe where you are, but out here, it's probably going to stay around the same that it is right now in most places, which is around a buck 45, buck 46, which is very expensive. But who knows? Maybe oil will crash again in price, and then gas prices will come down because of it too. With any luck, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Because yeah, I do have plans this summer to drive a bit, and um, I have plans. I'm always planning stuff, right? It's just when it's gonna work out or not, and as well, because a friend of mine lives in Calgary. Actually, like I'm gonna go see him when the weathers are all nice and stuff like that. Like nicer than it is now. It's been pretty good, but he doesn't have his cars really out very much when it's all, you know, getting colder and with the salt on, like some of the salt on the roads and stuff like that. Because we still use some salt here, but oh yeah, I mean, both of their situation, like they haven't helped their situation with gas for sure. Both of them have really hindered that quite a bit. Um, yeah, like it's sad. Um, like, and to be honest, the only time there is ever a proper like, hey, there's a shortage of oil. Yeah, if a refinery blows up, yeah, there's a shortage of oil, and it's understandable if gas goes up from that. Because a few years back, actually, Edmonton blew up, where the site is there. So yeah, but it's one of those deals, and I'm hopeful things will turn around when it comes to gas prices and stuff like that. But it's probably not gonna. But it would be nice if it does. So just hold out hope. That's all I'm doing. But at least here in town, it's not as bad as everywhere else. If I fill up gas here and nowhere else, it'd be great because here it is like I think it's a buck 38 at the pumps, but then I get it 3 cents cheaper at Shell, so I'm essentially paying a buck 35 or buck 35 per liter. So not too bad. Um, yeah, everywhere else is at least a buck 40, at least. So yeah, but as well, actually, what I was mentioning though is a friend of mine, Dieter. We haven't really talked. Actually, the first time we messaged each other was I messaged him last night, and we started talking a little bit today. And he's got a collection of Hondas, which is pretty cool. He's got an Integra Type R. He's got a he's got two CRXs, and he's got an Acura RSX as well. So it'd be cool to do videos on his collection of vehicles, because I like all of those. So yeah, I can't wait for that. And to be honest, oh, and I definitely will. They're cool. Like, I will do separate videos on those. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and all three of those, like, for any of the Hondas, are some of my favorite Hondas ever. For Hondas that I might want, CRX is way up there. An Integra Type R, I'd love to experience one, and I don't know if he'll let me drive them. We'll see. I'll ask him about that because I would love to drive them too, and do reviews on all three would be awesome. Like, wouldn't be all in one video because that video would be like 2 hours long. I do individual videos on each of the cars, so if he'll allow it, it would still I would still do videos like that. That way. Cause yeah, and he knows like, yeah, I'm not gonna hurt his cars at all. I will treat them with respect, and if he lets me hammer on them, then I will. But I bet. Because like the one thing is, when I drove that, and I wish I would have recorded it. When I drove that Cosworth Vega, right? I was just taking it leisurely, and then he said, "You know, you can hammer on it, right?" So just like, okay. Next time I went to a stoplight, I hammered on it. I was bang shifting it. It was so much fun, and yeah, it was just one of the like that is the most fun I've ever had driving a car. Absolutely, is driving that Cosworth. So who knows? Maybe I'll get to drive it again someday. Because me and him are still friends. So I did see that actually, which is just insane. You know, for a Taggy to go for that. Any of the stuff on Bring a Trailer just goes stupid, to be honest. Like, nothing should go that expensive. Ever. Like, cars like that just shouldn't. They're really cool cars and they're amazing, but they weren't worth anywhere near that new. Like, because I think an Integra Type R was like a $30,000 car back then. It may have been 40, but I don't think so. Right? So, and then you tack on an extra 70 grand on top of that? Eh. Oh, it's true. Like, there was actually a first gen Civic on Bring a Trailer that was a 1200 4-speed like mine, but absolutely mints. You know, there was nothing wrong with it. It was absolutely flawless, right? And it sold for like 23 grand or something like that. Like, wait, pardon? No, it should not have sold for that much. I don't care if it's the nicest example on the planet. It's still a first gen Civic. It's cool, but it ain't that cool. Like, yeah, and that's just the weird thing about all this, right? And there are so many cars that have just exploded in price over the past couple of years, which it makes zero sense. If anything, during COVID, all of these cars should have gone down in price, not up. I can understand the new cars being more expensive, and as a result of that, some of the used cars. But these enthusiast cars, if anything, they should have reduced in price because so many people were out of employment. It makes zero sense why everything went up. Zero. That way. Because even collector cars, like, people are asking way more than they're worth. I've seen that. Like, today, I spotted there was two first-gen Civics for sale today that I found. One was a 77, one was a 78 or 79. And the thing is, the 78, or sorry, the 77, the guy was asking like $1,800. It was a Honda Matic, and it didn't even run. Right? Just didn't. Hey, speaking of Roy Marco, there he is down in the chat, actually. And yes, new cars, not much of a fan of them. There's only a couple of new cars that I don't mind, and even then, do I want to work on them? God, no. Do I want to own them? Not really either. Give me my old car's carburetor. It's nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could, right now, like, if, for example, Lilo, if I fixed Lilo and quickly sold her, I'd probably get like 6 or 7 grand for that car. When that car should only be worth maybe 3,500, 4 grand. You know, like, it's insane that way. Like, I got a good price on it, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be worth that. It really shouldn't be, but it is. Like, even my insurance company. Sorry about that. My insurance company, when I registered Lilo, my '86 convertible, I put that I bought the car, and this is absolutely true, for $3,600. They put that I bought the car for $8,000, and they're claiming that the value is about $8,000 on it, which I'm okay with. Don't get me wrong, because if anything happens, I'm ahead. But still, I don't like that. I just don't. Although it's interesting because my insurance company still says it has a 6-cylinder in it, even though I told them it has a V8 in it. So whatever. It's fine. Not too worried about that. Yeah. So it'd be fun, and like yeah, because even though I'm having the issues with Lilo right now, so yeah. See, nobody buying my cars. Nobody. Just like I got a message from a friend of mine today asking if the Civic was for sale. Just like, no, you've known about the Civic for a while. Why would I sell it? Like, and the thing is, it would be up to my dad if he wanted to sell it, but I would encourage him not to. So, oh yeah, Fox body Mustangs have been going up in value for a while. I know that, but the thing is with the convertibles have been stagnant for years. Nobody cared about them. And now all of a sudden, at least my insurance is saying that's worth a lot more. I'm like, really? Because it's not. I promise you, I can buy that exact same car for probably around $5,000. It being nice and ready to go, and probably even has a top on it that's not torn either. So yeah, they didn't ask for like an or a appraisal on it or anything like that because, well, here's the thing: that car, it's not on classic insurance. I'm gonna daily the thing, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd be up to my dad if he wanted to sell the Civic ever, which I don't think he truly does. If somebody gave him enough money, I'm sure he would do it. If somebody gave him like $2,000 for it, he'd probably end up selling it because we can get another one that runs properly for less than that. So yeah. And like yeah, I know that like Stitch has a ton of value. I know that, but Stitch is a notchback 4i. That's why. Um. Oh yeah, they definitely do have quite a bit of torque, and they're fun. I haven't properly experienced Lilo that way, so we'll have to figure that out. But now, and I mean, and I will say, um, uh, the 4 3rd-gen chargers. Wait, 3rd-gen chargers? So you have the 70s chargers like that was based on the Cordoba? That's kind of cool actually. You don't see very many of those at all. Um you see a lot more Cordobas than you do the chargers. So that's pretty neat. And you're just holding on to those. I mean, eventually those will go up. Um I haven't really seen them do anything lately, but give it time, they will go up. See, old school, 74 charger, that's still the 3rd-gen charger. The 4th-gen charger started in 1975, and it was based off the Chrysler Cordoba, and the Plymouth Fury, I believe, was the same as well, like for the 2-door variants, anyways. Because actually in 1975, you could get a Plymouth Fury Roadrunner. Most people don't realize that. Most people think, oh, the Roadrunner died in 1974. Well, no, it didn't. They kept the Roadrunner name going until 1979. So, that's cool. And see, like, I could probably still find a 440 for around $300-400. But, yeah, you could definitely get them cheaper back then. Or, like, 302 motors, for example. You used to be able to pick them up for like $100. No big deal. Now, they're closer to $400-500. It's just one of those deals, right? The one thing is, like, you can still get Chrysler big blocks for cheap, but not as much of the 440s. Like sometimes you can get a 440 cheap, but it usually needs quite a bit of work. Yeah, the first, yeah, I know old school, and then the the third generation was 71 and 7. Yeah, that's what I said. 1500 with a trans. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, old school. I said that. I did say 1975 was the fourth generation, right? 75 to 79, I think it was. Um, and yeah, I thought he said he had fourth gens. Hang on, let me go back. Oh, sorry, you said third gens. Oh, my bad, my bad. Sorry, I misread that. Apologies. Yeah, those they're gaining traction very quickly, actually, in value. Because for the longest time, people didn't care for them for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but at the same time, I don't. Because like they're a lot bigger of a car actually than the second gen Chargers, and they're heavier, and they're more of like a luxury sort of coupe that way. Not as much of a muscle car as the earlier ones were. Still a badass car and sweet, but I wouldn't claim uglier. I mean, I wouldn't say uglier because, well, I like the look of them, to be honest. Those third gens, even the fourth gens, I don't mind either. You know, those are cool too. But yeah, like it's something actually for people that are racing the third gen Chargers. They prefer the later ones, like the 73, 74, because they're lighter. So, yeah. Yeah, see, and I wouldn't say that it's uglier either. Um, like the worst looking of all the generations, for me, it's probably the fifth generation. But even then, I like the fifth generation Chargers as well, which most people don't realize. The Chrysler L body, which was a front wheel drive based, loosely based on the K car platform, had front wheel drive Chargers, which people don't realize that was a thing, right? Yeah. And the thing is, like, the seats that I'm getting for Stitch, they're coming out of a Shelby Charger from '84. So it'd be pretty neat when I get those in the car. Like whenever I buy that car and then put them in the car, and then try and part out with that car. But yeah, no, I am definitely very excited for that. Yeah, the Omni's 024 was the same car. Yeah, it was. And you never see the 024s ever. You'll see more Chargers than you do Omnis that way. And like you'll see the like regular hatchback Omnis as well, but yeah. That's cool. I mean, I like the K cars personally, but yeah. Um well, the thing is, the Shelby Charger, not that it's in terrible shape, but it's not amazing. Um, and the thing is, the ignition tumbler for you know for the column is screwed. It needs to be replaced. I've had a bitch of a time trying to get it replaced. I know it needs a fuel pump as well to run, and it's a non-turbo car, right? It's also been sitting for the past 12 years or so. It's it doesn't really have much value. The car as it sits, it's probably only worth about maybe $400. In parts, it's probably worth about $1,000 to be honest, because it does have some of the Shelby bits that people want, the body kit, and um, and they want the transmission. They don't want the motor. They don't give a crap about the motor. Some people will want the head off that motor because it has higher compression, but that's it. They do have different suspension geometry as well, that people want too, but, you know. Oh yeah, like, don't get me wrong. In a few years, yeah, they will probably end up going up in value. Like, they have started to go up in value, but the non-turbos haven't. The non-turbos have stayed stagnant at the price they've been for a long time. See, I would love. I mean, the thing is, like, a Shelby Dakota is cool, but the Shelby Dakota, all it is, it's a first gen Dakota that has a 318 in it, which Dodge ended up doing later in '92 and putting a 318 in them then. So, eh, I to be honest, I like the car, but at the same time, I don't like not that one. It's also I'm pretty sure the floors are like completely cooked too, because that car has had moisture in it for better part of 15 years on the floors. So I can't imagine you pull that carpet; it's probably not pretty underneath. Um, there are so many things to like. It's not a terrible car, but it's also not a car that I can buy and sit on either. I can't sit on things. I don't have the space for that. Like with that car, I'd much rather have the seats that I want out of it because that's the only one that I'd feel comfortable with pulling them out of because it's not a great thing. Yeah, and it's not. That one's not a special car, I promise you. If that was a turbo car, different story. That's a special car. The non-turbos, nobody cares about. They were slow. They didn't have any real value then. They don't have value now. And again, it's not a car I can sit on either. And the thing is, Roy, Greg is wanting to move from that property within the next couple of years. So all the cars are going to be gone from that property. That's why I have sold so many off his property because he wants to move, right? And then there's still that stuff in the back, which we saw when you were out here, right? Um, and and with Greg as well, he's got his Lincoln, so he doesn't really care about the other, you know, about that Shelby especially. He got a Shelby for nothing. Yeah, but when your car weighed like 2,500 pounds and it only had 110 horsepower, the Shelbys, were encroaching on 200 horsepower, and like the turbos, they were much better, right? Now the one thing is with the Shelby Chargers is they do have shorter gear ratios in the transmission, so that's a little something. Yeah, well, there's always an exception to the rule of everything slow in the '80s, because yes, that you can look at the Trans Am GTA. Again, it's another one that was actually a very quick car back in the day too, and there was a few in the '80s, but not very many. Most of the stuff was slow, because even you look at Fox bodies, it wasn't until the '90s where they started to get quick. So yeah, it was just one of those deals. They were decently pokey, but not super amazing. Like, yeah, you were getting towards the end of the '80s, you were getting 15-second quarter miles finally again. But yeah. Oh, that's true. Definitely. I know that all too well. I've done that multiple times, Like that Cosworth that I drove, for example, that was a good example of that. Because yes, that Cosworth, it was a little quicker than what the stock ones were. Yes, it also had different gear ratios and a 373 rear gear in it too. So the thing scooted pretty good actually, but it wasn't what I call like fast at all. It just had a decent acceleration actually. But now, I mean, and the one thing is because you didn't get to because when you helped me with the carburetor swap there yesterday, you didn't get to drive or be in the passenger seat in Stitch, and let me tell you, Stitch pins you in the seat now. I swear to God, that carburetor added 20 horsepower. I swear. It didn't, obviously, but it feels so much better. It has so much more acceleration, and it's just incredible. So I really do appreciate all the help you did with that yesterday. And yeah, it even sounds better now too. Because even Rebecca texted me and just like, hey, yeah, the car sounded really good. Leaving. So it's like, well, cool. So yeah. No, I'm very, very happy with that now. And for now, like, no other work will probably be done to stitch that way for a while at least, you know? Until I start finding, like, if I find more parts, so. Oh yeah, it's just it's awesome, and I can't wait. Like once the road that I like to test on for stuff is clear, I'm going to do a benchmark to see if it gained any like proper performance, which I'm pretty sure it has. It feels way better. I love a carburetor. When a carburetor is dialed in, it is excellent. You know, um, yeah. And I haven't seen how cold starts are now, to be honest, because um, you know, it'll probably still hesitate with cold starts, but that's not shocking. It's one of those things, which I'm totally fine with. Not the end of the world. If it takes me a couple of tries to start the car, it takes me a couple of tries to start the car. Not the end of the world. But yeah. Because yeah, like next stuff, I mean, you know, do performance plug wires. I'd love to put like an MSD box in there and put a header on it. But it's not stuff I can afford right now, so that'll be a while. I'm focusing my efforts on Lilo currently for fixing it up anyways. So yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and when Lilo is actually able to make the trip up and I can afford it, I'll take a trip up and, you know, you can play around with a V8 a little bit. That one won't be too bad, like just, because I probably won't be able to get the carburetor absolutely dialed like you can. You just have a, you have a better understanding of it than I do, because I just listen for it, but you have a better ear than I do when it comes to just listening to the tones of the engine, so yeah, it'll be fun. And I can't wait to drive that car again, especially driving with the top down because it's been really nice weather lately. So, but I need to pick up head gaskets, which I should have picked up when I was in Edmonton, but I didn't, so it's fine. And an intake gasket too, which I'm gonna need, but that's fine. I'll see about ordering those tomorrow. Not a big deal. Might find something on like Rock Auto. Well, the thing is, the MSD, what I would be doing, um, because, well, if we do that plan that we had, um, if we actually go with that plan of, you know, supercharging the car, the MSD might not be a bad thing, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I do agree with you to a certain extent, but, yeah, like, it's just for stuff in the future that way. Okay, why won't it? There we go. That's better. But yeah. Like, it's just one of those things that would be really nice to have in the car, that's all. Plus, I like pretty. Like I said, that's probably down the road, though. Like, that probably won't be the summer or anything like that, if I ever do that. Like, and the thing is, and if we happen to do that supercharging thing, I will get, you know, the proper internals and stuff like that, and we'll do an entire teardown of the motor. Sounds like a big block with 351 heads. Well, I mean, you can get that sound out of them, which is pretty cool, actually. I have heard that. And, like, with Lilo, I'm not looking for, like, a super loud car or anything like that. I still want her to be a nice cruiser, that sort of thing. But, like, the volume it has now is not too bad. It's a little quieter than I would like, but it's fine. I'll probably end up keeping those mufflers and just replacing the tips because I don't like those turned down tips. Not a fan. But actually, I might know where to get some tips for free, so we'll see. I'll have to, or for very cheap if he'll sell them. We'll see. So yeah. And yeah, because as well, me and Keith actually ran into a snag with the Civic yesterday because the sending unit became molten at the bottom of the tank. Pretty typical, but all that rubber got caught in the whatchamacallit tube, the inlet tube to the carburetor in the tank. So gonna need to send the tank to get properly cleaned out because we weren't getting anywhere with what we were doing really. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, there was a guy that reached out that has a shop in Sherwood Park, or not Sherwood, in Spruce Grove. That his shop is actually like highly recommended too, with reviews and stuff like that. So I'll probably end up taking it to him. Not a big deal, but yeah, just one of those annoying things. That's why I could never get the car running properly. It's because, well, hey, tank is clogged, so. And how much crap came out of that fuel tank? Just ugh. You'll see actually in if you watch the video that I posted tonight, you'll see how much crap was in the bottom of that tank. It's awful. So yeah, one of those things. That's all good. Yeah. I mean, I've never sent a tank out to be cleaned, but to be fair, I've never had to get a tank cleaned. Because even like when I, revived Stitch, that fuel tank, it was dirty, but it wasn't rusty. So, it was just some sediment to the bottom of the tank, no big deal. I just replaced a couple of fuel filters and it was fine. Because I think I went through like 5 filters before it was finally good. So. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that one. But yeah, so, that's kind of what we're dealing with on that one. And then we'll have to do brakes and stuff like that. So, it's fairly simple stuff. It's just annoying. That's all. But reviving a car from the ground up again. So, but at least one, other than gas money, doesn't cost me anything. Yeah, see, I was thinking about doing that night, but we just ended up working on it so late that I didn't end up doing that. So, okay, cool. Cause yeah, like I'll probably end up doing that the next time I go up there, which won't be for a while, because it's affording it. But next time I do come up there, yeah, we'll just run it off a jerry can and see if it'll run. But first, we'll get the brakes functioning properly, and then we'll run it off the jerry can and see if we can drive it around the yard. So it's got winter tires on it; it'll be fine. Although something was funny actually. Oh, probably. There's a good chance of that. Because yeah, like it. I wouldn't be shocked if the carburetor needs to be taken apart and rebuilt properly. Because it is popping and banging and stuff like that. But I mean, it's not running on some fuel system either. So, yeah, that'll be pretty easy though, and I think they make rebuild kits for those, so not a big deal. But yeah, just a lot of other parts are really hard to find for those, but it's all good. I am very happy though with everything that's been going on with that, with going on with my other cars, and all the parts I've been accumulating. And then yeah, hopefully this week I can get Lilo up and going and be happy there. So actually, let's just see. Because I would have to, for that stuff, because I almost just want to use Rock Auto. Because actually, I need to see... Oh, I don't care about that. Oh god, I've never used Rock Auto on the computer. This is weird. Forward. Let's go 1984. Because it's carbureted, so just want to make sure that's going to be a carbureted thing. 5-liter. Fuel and air. Why is it saying throttle body? What the? They didn't have that before. Oh yeah, I still need to get a timing belt kit, which I can actually get off of Rock Auto, so that's kind of convenient. Because nobody else has had it at all, to be honest. Okay, so 84 didn't work, so let's try 83. Five-liter. Fuel and air. Why does it keep saying throttle position sensor? That's 80. They didn't even have one, you stupid freaking. Rock Auto's being dumb, so I'm not gonna do that. But yes, definitely need to replace the timing belt and stuff like that on it too. Hey, no worries, old school. Definitely appreciate you coming to the live stream, and hope you have a pleasant evening as well. And I'll catch you later. Because yeah, like on, because I'll look actually on here. Let's find Honda. Because still need to order that too, but again, I'm gonna have my dad do that because I'm not spending any more money on the car currently. Let's see. No, not that one. Not cooling system. Engine. There we go. Timing belt. Yeah, so like timing belts are really cheap. Like there's one for like $12 on Rock Auto. Like for the most expensive one, so not too bad. Would end up probably getting a water pump at the same time because I'm sure they're run off the same system. And yeah, and actually, it's looking like they actually have more stuff available on here finally, which is nice. Oh, motor mounts. I need those. Yeah, okay, cool. So they do have motor mounts on here. Nice. Cool. They're starting to get more parts on Rock Auto, which is nice for that Civic. Because I've never really been able to find any freaking parts for it. But yeah, so. Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see. So looking at cooling system, water pump. Yeah, there you go. The most expensive water pump on here is only $31. That's not bad, and it's in stock, so that's nice. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's finding some of the stuff too. Like, cause it's not always in stock. Like a lot of this stuff is always out of stock, and it's really annoying on here. Yeah, because like there's other ones that I get for like brake rotors and shit like that, but might just end up getting those turned at a shop or just do them ourselves. There we go. Yeah, brake shoes are now available too. That's nice. So I'll have to get a list together with actually talk with Keith again and just confirm what all the stuff that we need for that thing. They're out of stock of that. Of course they are. Oh, but the disc brake hardware you can find. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. But yeah, so one of those deals. Ugh, God, I'm tired. Yeah, because I didn't roll in last night till like 4:30 in the morning. Really late night with me and Keith there. Good night working on the car, but okay, cool. Yeah, so anyways. But I think I'm actually gonna end the live stream here. I'm starting to get really tired here. Anyways, I hope you all did enjoy. Thank you all so much for those that have stuck around to the end here. Hope you did enjoy this live stream, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye, all.